How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the Virginia Beach municipal center shooting that claimed the lives of 12 people and what the government of Virginia planned on doing about this tragedy as it relates to gun control. But before we even get into the video, I just want to say rest in peace to all those that have passed away, and my prayers go out to the families of the victims. Many of you may know that I'm from this particular area. Hampton Roads, Tidewater, southeastern Virginia. So while I don't know anybody that died in this tragedy, it definitely hits close to home for me. But let's go ahead and get into what the government wants to do as far as gun control or whatever. Now, there was a press conference this morning that included the governor of Virginia. Remember him? Ralph Northam with the KKK robe and the blackface talking about, oh, well, that was me, then it wasn't me. That's him. He was out there from his hiding. He was trying to have the whole Klan thing die down. But now all of a sudden you have a tragedy on your hands. You can come back out and take advantage of it. But I digress. He also had his lieutenant governor there, the accused rapist, Justin Fairfax. And he also had his attorney general right next to him throughout the entirety of his speech. And that is Mark Herring. About 3 years ago, Mark Herring tried and failed to revoke Virginia's concealed carry reciprocity agreement, which means if you have a concealed carry permit from the Commonwealth of Virginia, you could go to 25 other states that have an agreement with us. It says, okay, your concealed carry permit is enough for our state to recognize it. So there's no need for you to come to our state to apply again. And then that would be something that would be vice versa. You can come from Carolina to Virginia with your concealed carry permit and it's fine, and vice versa. But he rescinded that. So in order for you to go from Chesapeake, which is right on the border of Carolina, to Elizabeth City, which is just a few miles away, you would need to get a concealed carry permit from Raleigh. So it was a real big inconvenience. He was not able to get it passed, but I digress. I just want to tell you about his previous gun control efforts. So now they want to come out here talking about, oh, we got to do something. The first guy obviously who went first was the governor, Ralph Northam. I have a few notes right here. He wants to have these things go into effect. He wants the red flag law, which is if somebody suspects you are going through some kind of mental problem or you're dangerous, you may be able to have your guns confiscated as a result by the police. Okay, that's very controversial. I think Trump has said that he supported that, but hopefully he walks that back after he gets pushback from the people. One thing about Trump that I like is that he's accessible. He's not the kind of guy that'll just say something and not take any kind of consideration from the outside. He wants to talk to people and hear what's really going on. So hopefully he walks that back. But that's the first thing they want to do. They also want to have you be limited to one handgun a month. So you can only buy one a month in the Commonwealth of Virginia. He wants to have that be the thing. He also wants to ban magazines over 10 rounds. And this is really crazy because let's say you got some home invaders, right? And they're 4 deep. All of them got guns on them. You over here with 5 rounds, 6 rounds in your mag. I mean, you are going to be at a disadvantage. Why not be able to have more rounds in the magazine? You have to defend yourself, defend your property, whatever it is. Okay, so that's not a good thing, in my humble opinion. And of course, that don't only apply to civilians, people that follow the law, not criminals, but I digress. He also wants to have a law in place that requires you to report a stolen weapon after 24 hours. But how do you really enforce that? There's got to be exceptions because let's say you're out on vacation and your guns are in the house in the safe. Somebody breaks in your house, cracks the safe and steals your gun and goes out there and commits some kind of act. Now, is it your fault that you didn't report the theft within 24 hours? You're not even there. You have no idea what's going on. Okay. So how do you really know what happened? And even if you were there, it's possible for your gun to be stolen and you not recognize it for more than 24 hours. So I'm not sure how that's going to be actually enforced. And then he put out this stat that was totally false, talking about 1,028 Virginians die of gun violence every year. That's not true because, well, it's not true in the way that he framed it. I'll say that. It may be true that 1,028 Virginians die by gun every year, but it doesn't mean that's necessarily the way he's trying to frame it. He's trying to say gun violence as in one person kills somebody else, like on the street or in a mass shooting or something like that, I'm willing to bet you that most of that are suicides. So that can't really be put under the umbrella of gun violence or accidental deaths. You see, like if you die in a car crash, is that considered violence or is it an accident? So let's just have the terms be clear here. Let's not put out things to misrepresent what's happening. There's only about 14,000 gun violence deaths every year in the entire country. Virginia cannot be this big percentage of it, but I'll move on. His whole thing was just trying to push gun control. And one thing he said that kind of got under my skin was, oh, Republicans say that now's not the time, but when is the right time? Well, here's the thing about it. The mass shooting tragedy is when you guys come out and try to push gun control. You don't push it at other times. That's just not how this really works. Before the Virginia Beach shooting, there was a different shooting in Chesapeake right down the road, probably about 30 minutes away, max, 20 minutes away, where 10 people got shot and one died at a block party. That was not cause for this big press conference and national attention, okay? It's only when you have a mass shooting. Now, granted, I know there was much more deaths in Virginia Beach, but I think if 10 people were to be shot and one died at the municipal center, it would still have the same reaction from the local government. Maybe not necessarily from the mainstream media, but definitely from the government locally, because it can be seen as a mass shooting that deserves attention and not just typical hood violence. One thing Mark Herring said when he came on and spoke for a moment after Justin Fairfax, who came after Northam, was that they want to ban assault weapons. Now, what is an assault weapon? I have no idea. A scary looking weapon, the so-called AR-15, which ain't nothing but a long rifle with some things to make it look kind of scary to the average civilian. So what are we really saying here? They're saying that they're not going to impact the Second Amendment, but yes, they are. They're trying to restrict certain guns. They're trying to take guns away from you with the red flag law. So while they're trying to talk about, supporting gun rights and supporting hunters, all they're really doing is restricting civilians from having the guns they need to protect themselves, their homes, and their children. But they're giving the criminals pretty much carte blanche. Because, a criminal could do whatever they want until they get caught. Justin Fairfax, lieutenant governor, came on and said that he was just in UK and they don't have these kinds of mass shootings and terrible events over there. But he failed to mention how London now has a higher murder rate than New York City, despite the gun ban. They got a big time knife problem. Now the mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, wants to have some kind of knife buyback or drop off. So is it the gun that's the problem, or is it the people that are the problem? Is it the culture of violence that's the problem? Is it the mental health issues that are the problem? The guy that was a shooter in this situation had not been fired. He had not been terminated or anything. He had put in his 2-week notice before he went on his rampage. He had been in an altercation. The guy had some issues before the shooting, from all of what I've been reading and from all of what I know, just, knowing people in the area. That is a bigger issue. The gun was inconsequential. And I got to say one more thing. They want to bring up the silencer, talking about, the police couldn't hear it. Come on. The silencer does not operate the way that it does in the movies or in video games. Okay. And call it whatever you want, a suppressor, a silencer, it's all the same. All that it does is make your loud gunshot a little bit less loud, but it's still loud. You can still hear it, okay? All that a suppressor really does is make it easier for you to shoot it without being disoriented, because especially if you're in an enclosed space, that noise is very loud and it can actually damage you. So a loud gunshot is made less loud. It is not silent like, what was that movie, Goodfellas or whatever, or Casino, where they had the gun outside and they whacked that guy and it went like pew pew. That's not how it goes. It's still loud, just not as loud. But I'll move on from that. As I close, I want to say this tragedy was really unfortunate. It was really terrible, and rest in peace again to all those that have passed. But I don't think that gun control is the way to try and solve it. Okay. It's illegal to kill people. It's illegal to assault people, but yet it happens all the time. There are plenty of things that are illegal, restricting guns will not solve the violence that we have in the nation. You got to get down to the core, get down to all this cultural issues, the drug issues, get down to that, and then you'll be able to resolve what's happening, or at least alleviate a lot of the problems that we see in society. Restricting guns only affects law-abiding citizens. It does not affect the everyday criminal. So that's pretty much all I got. What say you? Do you think that Ralph Northam has the right idea to restrict guns after this mass shooting? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. Or do you disagree with him and agree with me that trying to restrict guns ain't the way to go about it? All you're going to do is just restrict civilians, law-abiding citizens, from being able to protect themselves while you embolden the criminal. Whatever your comments are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.